All right. Okay, I think we are live. Can everybody hear me? Jackson, T-Man, welcome. Asum, Drop Top, Daniel, Northwest. Aiden, Austin, Chase. All right, so Raul, welcome, Costa Rican. All right, so my room has been stripped. There's almost nothing in here except for the stuff on my shelves over there, because those shelves are going to get covered by plastic, and I don't need to move any of that shit out. But yeah, basically the only things left in this room are the things that are so big we're going to need help to move them out. So yeah, there's really nothing going on in my room right now, and most of my stuff is unplugged anyway. But I thought I'd go ahead and go with a stream tonight. Costa Rican, I'm remodeling it. Cody, welcome. So basically what we're going to do today is, as you guys probably know, over the last several weeks, I have been uploading many videos discussing the impending Seahawks free agents and what it might take to retain them, and what it might cost, and what their level of interest might be around the league. So now that I've posted every video of that nature that I have, all of them, I thought we'd do a stream to give people the opportunity to discuss what they think should be done and how they would address this offseason. Now, first of all, I want to say the first step to signing these free agents to be is, of course, to create cap room, because we don't have very much. Most of the cap room, if not all of it, that we have left is going to go towards our draft picks, because we have to pay our draft picks according to the rookie scale. And the cap space that we technically have right now is probably earmarked for that. So in order to sign any of these free agents or new free agents from other teams, you're going to need to clear some cap space. But one thing I want to stress to everybody who's watching this stream right now is, don't stress too much about this. One way or another, this team should be able to create cap space pretty easily. There are many ways in which we can do that, and the way in which we decide to do it doesn't really matter that much. Off the top of my head, you can restructure Russell Wilson's contract. You can extend Tyler Lockett, Bobby Wagner, Carlos Dunlap, or Jerron Reed, or you could cut one of those players as well. You can cut Tyler Lockett. You can, or trade him. You can cut or trade Jerron Reed. You can cut or trade Dwayne Brown. Dwayne Brown's another good one. So if you're worried about cap space this offseason, I think that's probably something you don't need to worry about too much. Every team in the league has to create cap space through creative means. The Seahawks are no different. They will find a way to create cap space if they need it. All right, so now that that's out of the way, we have to consider, who are we going to keep and how much are you willing to pay them? Because I'm assuming some of you guys, or most of you guys, saw at least some of the free agent videos that I've made in the last couple of weeks. But if you don't remember, or maybe you didn't watch them, here's what I estimate the following impending Seahawks free agents will get in free agency. And these are numbers that I got to via and comparing to other players and going by what a lot of experts had to say on this. So it could be wrong, but I've done my best to estimate. So just to go over this real quick, Chris Carson, I say 4 years, $24 million. Ethan Posick, 2 years, $6 million. Benson Mayowa, 3 years, $18 million. Poona Ford, 3 years, $27 million. KJ Wright, 3 years, $20 million. Shaquille Griffin, 4 years, $44 million. Quentin Dunbar, 2 years, $12 million. Carlos Hyde, 1 year, $2 million. David Moore, 1 year, $3 million. Jacob Hollister, 1 year, $2.5 million. Jordan Simmons, 1 year, $3 million. And everyone else is either going to get a minimum 1 year deal or a minimum deal that is slightly more than a minimum. So those are the numbers that I estimate right now. Because the cap is going down, I could easily be wrong. It is possible that a player like an Ethan Posick is going to have to settle for like a minimum contract because nobody's going to be able to afford to give him anything more than that. It is possible that somebody like Jordan Simmons is only going to be able to get a minimum contract for the same reason. It's possible that nobody's going to give 4 years to Shaquille Griffin because he didn't have a great year and the cap went down. By the way, sorry the lighting is not great. I only have one light down here right now because my room has basically been vacated. I have one light. So, all right. So let's go ahead and start sorting through some comments and try to figure out what people are thinking. So let's just go ahead and start with Chris Carson. I estimated that if we keep Chris Carson, it would be about the same contract that Austin Eckler got last year when he signed his extension, which was 4 years, $24.5 million. So I estimated 4 years, $24 million. Would anybody be willing to keep Chris Carson around for that price? I say no, and I have always been a no, but the hiring of Shane Waldron made me a firm no because I don't believe Chris Carson will fit Shane Waldron's scheme. I think that he is looking for somebody more like a Rashad Penny or a running back like that. So for my take, Carson, okay, we're seeing a couple of no's in the chat. So that sounds good to me. Costa Rican says, I'd love Carson, but don't expect him. Northwest Finest says, yeah, Carson can go if he expects a lot. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Gus Edwards in a future video, Costa Rican. I'd like Gus Edwards. Edwards, says Costa Rican sports fan. I'm actually going to mention Gus Edwards in a future video, and he is actually one of the high-profile free agents that intrigue me. He's the one guy I want to sign in free agency this year that could be a lead back, but yeah, I believe that Carson will leave, and I personally believe that this team should replace Carson with Rashad Penny. Hey guys, how you doing? Tay Francis, I think he wants somebody who runs to the outside. I think he wants somebody who's a little quicker and can make people miss. Chris Carson is a dude who likes to plow up the middle and break tackles and basically just go in between the tackles. So Carson's more of a power back, a very straightforward back, which is what Schottenheimer seemed to value, but I don't think it's what Shane Waldron will value. We should get the Cards RB Drake. He's going to be expensive, though, and I think he might be more expensive than Carson will be. Hello, Todd. Greg L. says, I think Carson will get picked up by the Bills. They won't have a ton of money either because they have to extend Josh Allen. Not DJ Dallas, like one of the idiots on IG who said he will break out. Yeah, I'm not impressed with DJ Dallas. I think he will. Of course, he wants money as he should, but he won't get it here. Yeah, he deserves to get paid, but I don't think it makes any sense to pay him here. Bulky Mango, welcome. Cody Tozier is the one guy who says we need Carson, but yeah, I'd like to trade up to get Etienne Harris. You'd have to trade up very high to get one of those guys, Costa Rican. Anyway. Okay, I don't know how my stream suddenly got so bright. What did I do? Yeah, whatever. As for replacing Carson, I think starting Penny is fine, but I do think we need a little something behind him that we don't have right now. DJ Dallas can maybe play a little bit. Travis Homer could maybe play a little bit. That's fine. But I want a more solid backup. And I will be discussing the guy that I really like more in the near future. But the guy who stands out to me would be Jamal Williams from the Packers. Yeah, Yarly, I would not be surprised if Lockett got traded. And if he does get traded, we're going to have to reevaluate our needs at receiver. Josh Gordon got re-signed. Well, what's the point in that? He can't play. He's never going to play. Like, I feel like it would have happened by now. Sorry. Okay, so it seems like the majority of my commenters do not want to bring back Chris Carson. I estimated 4 years, 24 million. If it was a lot less, then maybe people would feel differently. But I do not think he fits what Shane Waldron will be looking to do. I want to bring in a guy like a Jamal Williams to spell Penny, and then we can have guys compete for the third and fourth string spots. No, hey guys, that's the worst trade I've ever heard in my life. That's awful. Jimmy has negative value. Yeah, Matt Breida would be a great option, David. 1 year, 2 million. That would be a little cheaper than Jamal Williams. All right. So now that we have gone through the Carson conversation, cut Carson, Griffin, and KJ. Well, you don't need to cut Carson and KJ, and Griffin, but if you mean let them go, I think I agree. I don't trust Penny after his injury. Well, that's why you sign a good backup. We need to replace Gerald Everett is my number one tight end target. Yeah, I'm going to talk about him extensively in upcoming videos. I think we do need to get a tight end, probably, but there are a couple different options on who we can get. We need a replacement for Dwayne Brown. I have a solution for that. Okay, so the next guy who's on the chopping block potentially is Ethan Posick. And some people really disagreed with me when I said this, but I said that because Posick has only had half of a good season so far and he's gotten hurt a lot and he really didn't play that well in the second half of 2020, I said Posick was going to get 2 years, 6 million. And that's in line with other replacement level or slightly above replacement level centers in recent contract signing history. So Ethan Posick, 2 years, 6 million. What does everyone think about that in the chat? Green Earth says, why do we need a Dwayne Brown replacement? Well, we don't need a replacement. We need somebody who is ready to take his spot because Dwayne Brown is unlikely to make it through a full season healthy. Yeah, I agree with Costa Rican sports fan. He says, I think Henry will be a bit too pricey for us. I agree. I also suspect that Jonnu Smith will be probably a little too old. Too expensive. If you want to make a big investment in tight end, I would say get Jonnu Smith. But if you're not willing to make that big investment because you need to spend money elsewhere, well, okay, so just to spoil people, because you made it to my stream, so I may as well. I want to take Daniel Falele in the second round of the upcoming draft. Rabbitron, welcome to the stream. But okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Daniel Falele is big and agile, but he's very raw and is probably not ready to play very much yet. So my idea is you draft him, you let him learn behind Dwayne Brown for a year. If Dwayne Brown gets hurt for any period of time, you can throw him in there to get a little experience. And well, Greg L, of course he wants more, Ethan Posick, I mean, but that doesn't mean he's going to get more. Players like Ethan Posick are going to get murdered because the cap is going down. But yeah, my solution would be to draft Daniel Falele. That way you have a guy with talent who can fill in if Dwayne Brown goes down. And if Dwayne Brown stays upright, which we're all crossing our fingers for, then hey, you got yourself a great player to go forward with in 2022. Okay, so it seems like the takes on Ethan Posick are pretty split. Like I said 2 years, 6 million. A lot of people think he's going to get more. But I don't think he will, not in this market. What do you think about like Marlon Mack if he is cheap? There are some running backs I like more than Marlon Mack. I like Jamal Williams more. I like Mike Davis more. I like Matthew Breida more. There are some guys who I like better than Marlon Mack, but Marlon Mack would not be bad. We are talking about backup running back here, guys, or a committee running back. It's not the most important thing in the world that he's, Barry Sanders. 3 million a year, Michael. I said 2 years, 6 million total. We should pick up Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard's kind of old, isn't he? Or am I misremembering? Isn't he a little old? Jeez. It's tough to know, Green Earth. He's definitely the kind of player who might have been expensive, but the nature of this offseason could kill his value. There are a lot of players like that. If you're not elite, you're just going to lose some money. Leonard Floyd's going to be too expensive, Yarley, and we don't need more linebackers. I feel like Jordan Howard's been in the league for 8 years. It's weird. Jordan Howard came in 2016, had an all-pro season, and then he dipped. Yeah, see, you really want to be careful with running backs. You don't need to pay a running back a bunch of money. Like last year, we paid Carlos Hyde $2.5 million, and he was a perfectly adequate backup for us. You really don't need to be spending much more than that. Yeah, I'm not in love with Posick. I am ambivalent. I am personally ambivalent on Posick. I am fine with keeping him. I am also fine with not keeping him and investing instead in one of two guys. I'll talk more about this later, but Alex Mack on a 1-year deal, or the Packers guy whose name escapes me, on a long-term deal. Bama center Landon Dickerson. Yeah, it's possible we end up. I think Landon Dickerson's going to go too high for a second-round pick, though. Anyway, yeah, I think that getting Posick back cheap would be fine. Corey Linsley, yes, thank you. Yeah, Corey Linsley, thank you. But signing Alex Mack on a 1-year deal would be fine as well. Obviously, Corey Linsley is the white whale, but if you sign Corey Linsley, that's going to bite into other things and may require you to do something like cut Bobby Wagner or cut Tyler Lockett or cut Jerron Reed. So, you can certainly make that big investment, but you're going to have to sacrifice something in all likelihood to do it. All right, so those are the two starters who are up for free agency in 2021. So next starter on our list is Benson Mayowa, and I did some extensive research on this. And I believe that Mayowa, if he wants one, will get a raise, a significant raise. Now, it's possible that he doesn't really care about the money. There have been 1 or 2 players in NFL history who don't. It's possible that the cap going down will kill his value. But I expect Benson Mayowa, if he is given a contract based off his merit from 2020, is probably going to get something along the lines of 3 years, $18 million. $6 million a year. He's an NFL journeyman, so he typically only signs 1-year deals. So it is possible that even though his play probably deserves some long-term longevity, he might take 1 year, $6 million. But either way, I think you're going to give him about $6 million a year. He was productive as a pass rusher last year, and I think the only reason why he won't get this kind of money would be his age. Maybe he's a little too old to get this kind of money, but I suspect that Mayowa, if he markets himself on his merits from how he played in 2020, is going to get somewhere around $6 million a year. And I think he could get about 3 years. So, and my initial reaction to re-signing Mayowa was ambivalence, But after thinking about it, I think it would be best to let him go because we have a lot of tight ends that we know are going to be on this roster in 2021. We know we have LJ Collier. We know we have Rasheem Green. We know that we have Daryl Taylor. We know that we have Alton Robinson. Costa Rican, a lot of people cost us the one seed. Russell Wilson cost us the one seed. Yeah, Dunlap is another one. So my inclination would be that Mayowa should go find his money somewhere else. What do you think about Bobby Wagner? I mean, in what regard, Cody? What do I think about Bobby Wagner in what regard? And there's actually another defensive end on this roster that we have who I do want to bring back, who is going to cost very little. So, yeah. All right, so it seems like most people are done with Mayowa. No problem, Pigeon. Why would you want to trade Bobby? Because he's making a lot of money, and we need money, and I no longer think he is an elite player. Yeah, Michael, Demontre Moore may come up a little bit later, and I know Demontre Moore is not the flashiest player, but you could keep him for the veteran minimum, and I think he's reasonably productive for the veteran minimum, personally. How you doing, Hasher? Yeah, Cody. I mean, Bobby's still a good player. I don't think he's great anymore. And even if he is still great now, I would prefer to move on from him. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I got to be honest. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I understand that. But I don't think Bobby's worth that contract anymore. However, I want to stress this. It's only worth it to create cap space if you actually have something you're going to use that cap space for. So I would say get rid of Bobby if you have a bunch of stuff you want to do this offseason that you need money for. But if you feel like the team only needs a little piece here, a nice piece there, and you're good to go, and that's a defensible stance, I think, then yeah, you may as well keep Bobby around. Yeah, Yarly, Disley breaking out is a possibility, but we have to prepare for the possibility of it not being the case. So it seems like nobody's really all that excited to bring back Benson Mayo, which I tend to agree with. So yeah, we got a couple of no's on Mayoa. I wish him well. I think he's a solid player, and I think he filled in great for us last year when we really needed somebody to do an adequate job rushing the passer. But yeah, so far we've gone through the three starters. So let's do starter number 4, another defensive lineman. This is one of our big ticket guys, Poona Ford. And I compared him to other defensive tackles in the NFL and the contracts they've recently signed. And I said 3 years, 27 million. So this is going to cost something, but like I said, you can create cap space easily in the NFL. So 9 million a year for Poona Ford. If that is indeed his tag, his price tag, how do you feel about it? Because I would do it. I think he's good. I think he is versatile, a little more versatile than we expected. I think he has upside. But Poona is somebody who I would be willing to bring back at that price tag. To those of you who do not want to bring him back, what would be the price you would be willing to pay for him? Yes, Pigeon, there are, absolutely. I will be keeping track of that. But I feel like Poona would be worth it if you compare him to other defensive tackles in the league. And in his career so far, he's generally been healthy. He's been great against the run. And this is important, he's developing as a pass rusher. So I expect this team to make every effort to keep Ford. 4 years, 20 million. The cap could hurt him, but I don't think it'll hurt him that much. Andrew, as far as I know, he's not restricted in any way. If he is, then that actually makes things very interesting this offseason. I don't really want Fournette, Pigeon. Trade Lockett for a 2, Jerron Reed for a 4th and a 7th, Diggs for a 5th. Diggs just made the Pro Bowl, and he's not that old. I don't think he's going to go for just a 5th. Yeah, David, that's true. I do think this team will be able to create enough cap space to keep Poona and improve their offensive line, but that will require some degree of sacrifice. I wonder if a player like a Bobby Wagner would be willing to do an extension that gives him a lot less money per year, but more money overall. Could they trade Diggs and play Blair for safety? Yeah, they could. They absolutely could. I don't know if that's a great idea. We have no idea if Blair is good. We have no idea how Blair's going to come back from the injury. I would need to get pretty decent value for Diggs to be willing to trade him. If we trade Diggs, that's fine, but get more than you gave up for him because his value is higher now. Also, don't forget about Taylor. Yeah, Taylor narrows things down a little bit. All right. So it seems like most people like Poona. A couple don't, but Poona would be one of the big ticket guys I would keep. He's the first guy we've looked at so far that I'm enthusiastic about keeping. And as long as he doesn't want more than 10 million a year, I'm pretty on board with it. So Poona Ford, after thinking about it, he's one of the guys I would be willing to give the money to. All right. So next is another starter from 2020, and it is KJ Wright. And this one's controversial. Most people don't want to keep him as far as I can tell, but a few people do. I looked at other linebackers who have recently signed free agent deals and tried to make good comparisons, and I think KJ Wright is due for 3 years, 20 million, maybe something like 2 years, 13 million, but 6 to 7 million a year, I say. He's old. He's not a pass rusher. He's missed some time due to injury in the last few years, but his play has consistently been quite good. And I think that KJ, if he actually goes for the money, will probably want something along 3 years, 20 million, or 2 years, 13 million. I will say I think he is probably worth that. And if a team signs him for that, they're probably going to get most, if not all, of their money's worth. 1 second, guys. Okay. However, I don't think it's a good idea to give more money to linebackers when you already spent a first-round pick on Jordan Brooks. Like, if you re-sign KJ, then you're basically committing Jordan Brooks to another year of being your third linebacker and only getting on the field maybe half the time. So I'm a little concerned about that. And then you have guys like Cody Barton, who I don't think he's very good, but he needs an opportunity to go out there and prove himself, and he's not going to get on the field that much. So, yeah, the upshot is that at least KJ Wright is still good and probably will continue to be good for a little while longer. But for me, after thinking about it, I say no. I don't really like saying it because KJ's obviously, one of the greatest role players in the history of the Seahawks, probably one of the greatest non-all-pros in football history, in Seahawks football history, excuse me. But I don't view him. I just don't think it's a good idea to keep putting more investments into linebacker when clearly our investments into linebacker are not making this defense great. So that would be my take. I would like to go into 2020 with Bobby Wagner playing MLB and Brooks being the outside linebacker and the other outside linebacker spot going to either Barton or Irvin. Okay, so it seems pretty split on KJ. Some people want him back. Some people want him to go. Seems pretty split, which is understandable. He did play very well last year. Although I think there's some stuff that he did last year that goes under the radar. He did miss tackles. He was not great in coverage. I would prefer to just let KJ go and give Jordan Brooks his spot, and then give Cody Barton the third linebacker spot, or Bruce Irvin. And if you need to, go sign a guy honestly, like Malcolm Smith to be a backup. And that's how I would fill out the linebacker spot. If KJ is actually willing to play for a hometown discount, which I doubt very much, by the way, if that is the case, then that changes things. Then you can bring him back just to be like your running down linebacker or something. All right, so next name that I went over is Shaquille Griffin. This is probably our most prolific free agent in terms of the money he's going to make. He's not our best free agent, but because of the position he plays and the nature of the way guys like that get paid, this guy is probably our biggest, highest priced free agent. And even though he didn't play a very good 2020, even though I actually think in a lot of games he was pretty bad, I feel like Shaquille Griffin is going to get 4 years, $44 million. I really do. I think if you take a look at what other cornerbacks have gotten recently in the NFL, I think that's actually very reasonable. I think that Shaquille compares well with guys who have gotten pretty sizable contracts lately, like guys like Xavier Howard, and I drew a couple other comparisons when I made the video. So I am emphatically against bringing back Shaquille Griffin. I think he is a decent player, but he didn't do enough in 2020 to actually impress me. However, this is contingent on something that I'll get into shortly. Yeah, Marlon Humphrey's another good idea. Yeah, I like Shaq, but he didn't develop the way I was hoping in 2020. So, yeah. Bringing back Justin Coleman as slot. We have too many slot corners, K. Ruiz. I would be fine with it, but I think we have too many guys who can play the slot. Yeah, and that's another thing. If we draft a cornerback or pick up one in undrafted free agency, you need to be able to have some degree of trust that Pete Carroll can turn them into a capable starter, because he's done that his whole career, and that's his selling point. That's what he did with Trey Flowers. He was a capable starter for 2 years for us, despite having not even played corner in college. That's what he did with guys like Sherman, who was a fifth-round pick. He did it with Brandon Browner. He did it with Byron Maxwell. He's done it his whole career. So, yeah, Bashad Breeland's on my list. However, I feel like you should play to Carroll's strengths. Let him go get a guy for cheap and turn him into a solid player. And as for the cornerback position, you can prop it up with your pass rush. So if we can keep up the pass rush that we had last year with a decent defense like corners, then I would definitely say go with that. Get Shaq out of here. Roll with lesser talented guys and let your pass rush pick up the slack. So it doesn't seem like anybody in chat is saying we need to bring Shaq back, and I am very much inclined to agree. I know Ayden. I don't think they will. I don't know why they would. I know they made the playoffs last year, but that is not really a team that is ready to go win a Super Bowl, so they shouldn't be signing big ticket guys like that right now. Oh, ooh. I've been moving stuff for a good chunk of the day, so my back is sore. Son Carl Lawson. I don't think we need more defensive ends unless we cut somebody. Okay, so now that we know nobody likes Shaq, let's jump to the final starter that we're going to be evaluating tonight. That is Quentin Dunbar. And if you watch my Quentin Dunbar video, I said that he would come into about, and this is very tough. This could easily be way off in either way. This could be way off in either direction. I said 2 years, 12 million. And I said that because that's kind of close to what Josh Norman got after his terrible year in Washington when he signed with Buffalo. And then it adds an extra year because Dunbar is younger. But basically, Dunbar's in a very similar situation to what Josh Norman was last year, because Josh Norman was formerly great and had been terrible recently to the point where he got cut and Buffalo gave him the 1 year, 6 million prove it. So I said Dunbar will probably have to settle for something similar. I said 2 years, 12 million, and probably easy to cut after 1 year. And he basically has to prove it. Like, you're a good player, go prove it. He didn't prove it last year. He had the year from hell in 2020. And this one's tough. I will say this. This one is tough. Dunbar was awful last year, obviously, but some of it was not his fault. Some of it was because of stuff that will not be the case again in 2021. So I can really see this both ways. Yeah, Gerald Everett is something that I'm going to discuss a lot more in the future. For now, we're sticking with Seahawks free agents, not other teams' free agents mostly, but Everett is somebody definitely is on the list. I personally would bring back Dunbar, mostly because we need outside corners, because we don't have a lot right now, and we don't have a ton of resources to go get a new one. Because if you let Shaq go, which I'm totally fine with, that's an outside corner you don't have anymore. So if you lose Dunbar, who are your outside corners? You have DJ Reed, who's capable of playing on the outside, but he's tiny, and I don't really like that. You have Trey Flowers, who is coming off a terrible year, and you have, who else do you have who can play outside corner on the team? It's thin, right? It's like Ryan Neal. Yeah, it's really kind of at that point you're talking Ryan Neal as your main outside cornerback. So I would bring back Dunbar, 2 years, 12 million, make it an easy out after 1 year, and basically say, hey, you were terrible last year. You don't deserve any more than this. So I personally would bring him back, but I'm seeing a split in the comments. I'm seeing some people say they're ambivalent, some people saying yes, some people saying no. So I mean, that's the way it should be. He was not very good last year, and he deserves to have his status in the future of this team questioned. Oh, yeah, Lyndon Stevens would be another one, but, we don't know about him. I don't really view 1 year, 6 million as an overpay, Michael. I mean, 6 million a year. I don't think 6 million a year on Dunbar is an overpay if you look at the garbage players who get 6 million a year at corner in the NFL right now. At least Dunbar has been good in the past. All right. So those are all the starters. Those are all the starters who are outgoing free agents that we may or may not keep. So I want to thank everybody who's still here. I want to thank everybody who came out tonight. If you have not already, please like the stream. I appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I do have memberships. You can click down below on the join button to become a channel member. It's $2 a month or $5 a month, depending on what level you choose, and you get custom emojis like free perks. Flowers is better than Dunbar. I'm not done yet, guys. I am not done. I'm just taking a short break because we just finished the starters. Flowers is better than Dunbar. Last year he probably was, and that's a race to the bottom right there, but Dunbar is capable of being much better than Flowers. Dunbar has been very good in the past. All right. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, appreciate the support. Please like the stream if you haven't yet. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, I said memberships. I said yeah. If you have a comment that you really want to make sure it's read out on stream, I am getting a lot of comments right now. You can use the super chat if you would like to. Make sure your comment is seen and read. Yeah, that's basically all the ways you can support the channel. All right. So let's go through some of the part-time starters or bench players who I think are worth discussing. This is going to be pretty quick. There are only a few. First one, Carlos Hyde. I think we all know what Carlos Hyde was last year. He was an okay backup running back. He had one big game for us. He had one big carry in the football team game. So I went through, and for assorted reasons, I came to the conclusion that Carlos Hyde would be 1 year, 2 million. And obviously, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, and it's not. But you could get a different running back for half that. You could go get another backup running back and spend half that. So, real quick, let's just take the temperature of the room here. What do you think of Carlos Hyde, 1 year, 2 million? Because I personally am ambivalent. I think you can bring him back. I think you can let him go, and it doesn't make that much difference to me as long as that price is right around there. Flu Productions, Josh Gordon's probably never going to play football again, so yeah, I would say probably meaningless. Yeah, Hyde's definitely replaceable, but that doesn't mean he can be replaced by anybody. There is a difference. I would be fine with letting him go and getting a slightly better backup because, you do want somebody better behind Penny. I want a backup running back who's a little better than Alex Collins, though. And not to besmirch Alex Collins, but I want somebody who I think could be a little better. That's why I want Jamal Williams. I don't think Hyde would be cheaper than Mike Davis. Mike Davis is another dude whose value is going to get murdered by the cap going down, I think. I don't want Mark Ingram. If we're going to sign a free agent, yeah, Sam, we already talked about Shaq Griffin a bunch right before you got here. You missed the Shaq Griffin discussion. When the stream's done, roll it back and you can watch it. All right. So it seems like people are pretty non-committal on Carlos Hyde. We got some no's. We got a couple of yeses. A couple of people who, I think a lot of people don't really care. And yeah, I think that's a reasonable reaction to have. He is definitely replaceable, but that doesn't mean he can be replaced by literally anybody. Yeah, you could get a Rex Burkhead and you probably won't notice. What's the difference at the end of the day? The only difference is that Carlos Hyde has a year in the system. Well, it's a new system now, but the thing is, would Carlos Hyde be a good fit in the Shane Waldron offense? I think he could find a role. All right, so moving on from Carlos Hyde, this one's a little more interesting. David Moore. And again, I did some investigating. I compared him to other players. I compared him to other contracts. I took into account the fact that the cap is going down. And I said 1 year, 3 million. It would have been about 1 year, 5 million, but the cap went down. So I say 1 year, 3 million. If that is the cost for David Moore, would you keep him? Go ahead and fill the comments with your wisdom while I stretch out my back. Okay, it seems like we're seeing a couple most no's, but a few yeses. Kind of people are kind of all over the place with this one. I went back and forth on this one. The thing is, I think David Moore is easy to replace. However, it might not be so easy for us to replace him this offseason because we don't have a lot of draft picks. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't guys you could replace him with, and that's something I'm going to discuss a lot in the future. But if you bring back Moore, I think that's fine. If you don't, he's replaceable. You could replace him in-house, which is possible, although I wouldn't bet my season on it. But that being said, I think I would bring back David Moore. I don't care that much, but there's some uncertainty going on right now, and we don't have a ton of draft capital. I think I want the I think I want the security of knowing my number 3 receiver is at least okay. But a lot of people in this chat do not want to bring back David Moore, and I sympathize because he got off to a great start last year and couldn't maintain it. Okay, so it seems like mostly no's, but there are some definitive yeses for David Moore. So, okay. All right, next guy we're going to do is Jacob Hollister. Part-time starter last year because of injuries. Yeah, Michael. If David Moore accepts 1 million, then he must really like it in Seattle. That's what I can say about that because all right, so Jacob Hollister, I compared him to other tight ends and I said 1 year, 2.5 million. Because his production is honestly comparable to tight ends who get about that much. So if you want to keep him, it's going to be at a pay cut from last year, but it's not going to be anything impressive. So Hollister, 1 year, 2.5 million. I would not do it. I don't like Hollister personally, but beyond that, I just feel like you can do better. And I also feel like there are bigger tight ends that you can bring in to fill that role. You know, a lot of people are saying we should bring in Gerald Everett. You bring in Gerald Everett as your starter, Will Dissly is your backup, and Colby Parkinson is your third string. You don't need 4 tight ends. So because of that, I would say no on Hollister. However, the team likes Hollister somewhat, clearly. So I believe it is possible that we bring him back, and I want to entertain the possibility. And as much as I don't like Hollister, he is not terrible. He's not. He's just completely unremarkable. He's not really good at anything. He's just kind of okay at everything. He has okay hands, okay route running, okay size, okay blocking. He's not really good at anything. So it seems like a couple of people want Hollister, but most people don't. Yeah, Jonnu Smith's another one, Mass Temple. But we know Will Dissly's going to be the backup next year because, well, you know. Now, I said 1 year, 2.5 million for Hollister. However, I do want to point out that he is the kind of player who will get murdered by the cap going down. So he might be a minimum player. He might be 1 year, 1 million for all I know. It's not impossible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. And if it's 1 year, 1 million, then maybe you want some injury insurance for Will Dissly. All right, so that is Hollister. Most people don't want him. Well, that's fine too, Michael. That would work. That's possible, but I feel like we're going to bring in somebody like Gerald Everett or Jonnu Smith. I just do. I'll go over that more in the future. All right, so final free agent of note is Jordan Simmons, and I projected he would get like 1 year, 3 million. And I know that sounds crazy, but guards get paid in the NFL, guys. Guards get paid. Crappy guards get paid. There have been guards who can barely tie their shoes who get 3 million a year. So I think Jordan Simmons is going to get like 1 year, 3 million. And my take on Simmons is no, I don't want to bring him back. I would rather draft somebody and pay them a lot less and have a little more upside and a little more potential. Now, I don't know if we're going to draft a guard this offseason, but even if you don't, you can get an undrafted rookie free agent. If Simmons gets killed by the cap going down and ends up going for like 1 year, 1.5 million or 1 year, 1 million, that's a little different. I would probably be willing to do that just to have him as a backup. All right, so that'll do it for the big names. All right, so as for rapid fire, these are the guys who are going to make either the veteran minimum or a little bit more. So I didn't want to make a whole video about them, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on them because basically the answer for everyone is just yes or no. So here are the remaining free agents I discussed. I went over Geno Smith and I said, yes, bring him back on a min or min plus contract, which is going to be like 1 year, 1.2 million. Sounds fine to me. Nick Bellore, I would bring him back on a 1 year, 1.2 million deal, which is makes sense, is what he would get based off what's happened recently with fullbacks. Next, we have Cedric Ogbuehi, who I think, based off recent trends, would get 1 year, 1.3 million. And I am relatively ambivalent on Cedric O, but I would say no. I think we can do a little better at the backup right tackle spot, one way or the other. So, yeah, to recap real quick, Geno, yes. Bellore, yes. Cedric O, no. I do want to say one thing, though. As much as everyone, including myself, likes to kill Cedric O, he's probably not as bad as we think he is. He probably just has some really bad highlights that we may be putting too much into, but I think we can do better than Cedric O. So, yeah, Geno, give him the min plus. Nick Bellore, give him the min plus. Cedric O, let him walk. All right. Let's keep going with the rapid fire. Next, we have Bruce Irvin. And because Bruce Irvin has already kind of said, I don't want to go anywhere else but Seattle, I'm either going to come back to Seattle or I'm going to retire. Given the fact that he just tore his ACL, given the fact that he's old, given the fact that we already gave him a lot of money to not do anything for us last year, I think you could probably say 1.5 million. Bruce Irvin, call him up saying, hey, you want 1 year, 1.5 million? He says, yes, okay, you've got a backup linebacker. If no, then he can go retire. I think I would do it for 1.5 million because you're not really risking anything. And I feel like that's what he should be worth. I'm relatively ambivalent on it, but I think I'm leaning yes for that price because he's versatile. He can play end and he can play linebacker. And I could be wrong, by the way, guys. He might take 1.2 million. He might be willing to play for peanuts because he just wants to play in Seattle again, and he knows he has no value. All right, next we have Demontre Moore. And this is a guy I do want to keep as a third string or fourth string defensive end. And I think you would probably get him for 1 year, 910,000. So less than a million. Call it 1 year, 900K. 1 year, 900K for Demontre Moore. I say yes. I like what he did last year. He only stopped producing because he stopped playing when we got some guys back and we brought in Dunlap. And there's not going to be any market for him because he didn't play the second half of the season. So Demontre Moore, 900,000 to be your reserve defensive end and a special teamer. I like it. I like it. I'm good with him taking up that roster spot. I don't want Leonard Fournette, young Link. Okay. Next, we have Brian Monet. I want to bring back Monet a lot. I like Monet. I think he has a lot of potential. I think he flashed last year. He just got hurt and wasn't able to fully flash. But I feel like Brian Monet showed some stuff. I think the minimum contract for Monet is $750,000. 1 year, 750K. Because he's a ERFA, which is exclusive rights, you can probably get him for that or a tiny bit more. We're talking 800K, 900K at most. So I would say 1 year, 800K, min plus. And at that price, how can you say no for a young defensive tackle who really showed me something last year for a little bit? Okay. It seems like everybody's on for Monet except for one person, Max, which he says he wants to see Cedric Lattimore, and I can understand that, but I don't want to give up a sure thing. Well, not a sure thing, but somebody we know is at least okay for somebody who we have no idea about. All right. Final guy of note would be Ryan Neal. And for me, he's in the same boat as Monet. He's young, got some potential, made some plays last year, did some stuff that impressed me. And I think you can get him because he's an ERFA for about 1 year, 800,000. And we need young corners. So Ryan Neal, 1 year, 800K, 900K at most. I say do it. Should be pretty simple. I like Neal. He's versatile. He can play safety. He can play corner. He's big enough to play on the outside. He made some plays last year. I like Ryan Neal. I think it seems like everybody's down to bring back Ryan Neal. I don't think he's going to be expensive, even though he did do pretty well last year. So, yeah. That's Neal didn't fumble. That was DJ Reed, David. Yeah, David, that was DJ Reed. Okay, so that's basically everybody. We could spend a little bit of time talking about all the other free agents we have, like Nico Thorpe, but I don't care about Nico Thorpe at all because I barely remember he's on the team. There's Shaquem Griffin, but again, I don't care. There's Tommy Champion, but I don't care. Is there anybody cares about who I haven't discussed yet? Oh yeah, Kyle, believe me, I'm going to make a lot of videos about the people we could bring in. Those videos have already been recorded. I just need to upload them. All right, so to recap real quick, and then we'll go into kind of the Q&A section. I want to keep Poona Ford, Quentin Dunbar, David Moore, and then Geno Smith, Nick Bellore, Bruce Irvin, Demontre Moore, Brian Monet, and Ryan Neal. I am ambivalent on Ethan Posick, Carlos Hyde, and Cedric O. I do not want to retain Chris Carson, Benson Mayoa, KJ Wright, Shaq Griffin, Hollister, Jordan Simmons, and that's about it. All right. So, should the Seahawks try to get Leonard Fournette? No, I don't want Fournette. Aaron Fuller. I think Aaron Fuller's under contract for another year, Michael. I think we have him no matter what. I think Aaron Fuller is going to be here for 2021 no matter what. I can't believe we would bring back Philip Dorsetti, man. I mean, talk about a dude who just could not have done less even if he tried. Yeah, Mask. That's why I don't know how well he fits in our team's future. Would you trade Diggs and get Earl back? Insidious, don't make me kick you, dude. Get at. Don't talk about Earl, guys. This is an Earl Thomas free zone. Shaquem will take minimum to play with Shaquille. Yeah, I know that, but I don't think we're going to bring back Shaquille. And by the way, we have limited roster spots. Shaquille Griffin is not good enough to say, I want my little brother on the team, okay? Bite me. He's not LeBron James. If LeBron James wants to come to your basketball team and he says, hey, I got a brother who sucks, but I want him on our roster, give him the league minimum, then you do it because it's LeBron James. You don't do it for freaking Shaquille Griffin. Yeah, DJ Reed can play a little safety too. Marlon Mack, that's a little better, but I still don't really like it. Kyle, Corey Linsley is an option. It's not my favorite option, but it is a very good one. I'll go over my favorite options in the coming weeks, but suffice to say, Corey Linsley would be a very good pickup. Yeah, Joe Thuney's another good one. See, to me, the question is, Do you want to spend money on center and then cheap out trying to find a good left guard? Or do you want to cheap out on center and then spend your money on left guard? You can only do one. You can't get Lindsley and Scherf. You can't get Lindsley and Thunny. You can only get one. Kyle, I don't hate Earl. I just don't want him back right now for what should be very obvious reasons. Yeah, young Link. I think Homer might be a little bit better in his system. I don't know. So, my personal preference, if you guys want to know real quick what I would do, I would sign Brandon Scherf to play left guard, and then I would sign Alex Mack to a 1-year deal. And he gives you one great year at center. That way you can kick the can down the road on dealing with center to next year. Next year you can use your second round pick on a center. So my idea is sign a big name guard, Thuney or Scherf, they both work fine, and then you get Alex Mack. Because Alex Mack should not be very expensive because he's old. So give Alex Mack like $4 million, and then go get a big ticket left guard, a blue chip left guard, and then your offensive line next year is Dwayne Brown, Scherf or Thuney, doesn't really matter to me, Alex Mack, Damian Lewis, Brandon Shell. I like it. You know, there's no big hole in that line. There shouldn't be a big hole in that line. Your worst player is Shell, and Shell is going to look a lot better when the line around him is better. Yes, Alex Mack is a free agent. But yeah, I know we bash on Travis Homer all the time. Waldron might get something a little better out of him. Well, yeah, Michael, that's why this is like a one. He gets to join, Dwayne Brown in their final year before retirement. I mean, Max, guard is guard. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, either, Michael. I will say some tackles cannot move to guard. They don't have what it takes to do it. It is we don't know, but it's something to keep in mind. Yeah, Shell's not bad. He had a bad playoff game, but hey. By the way, because I suspect Posick will be super cheap, I do think Posick will be really cheap. You could sign Mac and Posick and just have Posick be the backup for 1 year, and then you try again in 2022 after Mac retires. Damian Lewis needs to stay at right guard. Center can't help him in pass pro, not so much for the left guard spot. Yeah, I'm torn on moving Damian Lewis. On the one hand, I think he can do it. On the other hand, I don't know if he can do it, and I would hate to move him and then derail his development because he moved to a position he's not familiar with. Homer wasn't a very good kick returner, though, is the thing. No, young Link. If we want to get somebody who sucks and is washed up now, get Patrick Peterson. I'd rather have Pat Pete than Sherman, and I don't want either, to be clear. I don't want these guys who suck now who are going to want a lot of money because they used to be good. Yeah, I remember Max. Yeah, I think Gino will be the backup again in 2021. I mean, why not? It's whatever. Again, it's not that big of a deal if he is or if he isn't. It doesn't matter. I will say this. I hope we carry a QB on the practice squad. I don't know exactly who yet, but I do have some ideas. I'll get into it later. I'll take Sherman for the veteran minimum and not a penny more. I don't know who Hemp Smith is, Insidious. Oh, Gino? Yeah, he's not a good one, but whatever. There aren't enough good starting quarterbacks to go around. How are you going to get a good backup? I mean, Young Link, I'll care about it when it actually happens. David, I would prefer Gerald Everett, but it's debatable. Darius, only if he's super cheap. Michael, I think Sherman's going to want a lot more than that. Like last time he had a full season, he was an all pro, so he can easily ask for more and probably get it. But I don't want these old, expensive cornerbacks, and I don't know why anybody does. Kyle Dunbar. Hold on. If you're going to get a cornerback, get somebody with some potential. Like, if you want to go spend big on a free agent cornerback, go get William Jackson III from the Bengals. He's a free agent. He's got upside. He's played pretty good the last few years, and he has good pedigree, and he's going to cost a reasonable amount. Yeah, Desmond King's another one, although he's a slot corner, and we don't need another slot corner. Guys, think about it for a second. How many slot corners do we have on this team? Amadi, Blair can play, and we're trying to move him there. Actually, we were trying to move him there. DJ Reed can play nickel. Like, we need outside corners. We don't need other. We don't need other nickel corners. We need outside corners. We need guys who can play, who are like 6 feet tall or high or taller. Because we really don't have very many of those. If we keep Dunbar, then our outside corners will be Dunbar and Reed. And Reed arguably shouldn't be outside, but he's played pretty well. And then you have Trey Flowers and Ryan Neal. And that's it. So that's not good. Remember, we were trying to play Blair at nickel last year for a couple games. So we are thinking about moving him clearly. And also, Trey Flowers might move back to safety. Amadi, Max, Amadi's going to start. Amadi had a good year last year. I was pretty happy with Amadi last year. Michael, thank you for the $10. Thanks again for doing this early Seahawks chat. It helps out guys like myself on the East Coast. Yeah, I'm going to try to do this a little more regularly over the next few weeks because I'm not really going to have too much else to do. Because, yep, this is what my room looks like right now, guys. This used to be where my computer desk was. That is what where my TV used to be. Obviously, everything else is in there because my PlayStations were all down below, and they're all out of here now. That's where my cages used to be. So yeah, we just kind of there's nothing to do right now until we're done down here. Tomorrow, it's going to be very busy in here, but there's still going to be nothing in here because we're going to be remodeling it. But yeah, Michael, thank you for the $10. Yeah, this is the slowest part of the year for me. This is the slowest part of the year for me. and for any football fan, because there's nothing to talk about. So I'm trying my best to create content to keep the channel up. So yeah, donations are always appreciated. I mean, you guys should see the money I am pumping into this new computer, and a lot of it's going to be for the benefit of the stream. So yeah, stuff like that's always appreciated because this is the time of the year where my views are way down. I don't think we're going to trade him yet. I don't see it. How much do you think Jamal will get per year? Probably like 16, 17 million. It depends on the market. Michael, I'm remodeling, so I had to get everything out of here. I'm redoing the ceilings. I'm gonna insulate the ceilings with soundproof shit. I'm gonna move the bed from over there to this corner. I'm gonna make this area over here a closet. I need a new computer desk. Mike, I'm getting the 3080 or the 3080, I think. Haircut, thank you for the $2. Love you, bro. Glad to help out. Yeah, appreciate it, man. But yeah, my views and like my views and new subs and revenue, all that stuff's way down this month. I'm hoping that when free agency starts, it'll start to swing back. Lano Hill, I assume he would cost the vet minimum, so sure. It's one thing, the roster as it is right now kind of doesn't really have any dedicated backup safeties unless you want to move Ryan Neal to safety permanently. No, Andrew, I'm getting new posters. I would be okay with Delano Hill. I think he actually did decently last year, but I'm completely ambivalent. It doesn't matter. By the way, in a couple weeks, watch out for that. I'm going to build my PC on stream, so keep an eye out for that. Sam, yeah, we need to talk about that actually, Sam. Blair and Neal would be the backups at safety. I'm wondering if we think Blair is a nickel corner now. It's the thing because it seems like I don't know. The fact that we put him there last year tells me that we view him as a nickel corner. Maybe that happens all the time with corner safeties in college. They move to nickel corner, but yeah, Amadi's good, but that that's the thing that sucks. Like Blair has no place on this team. He really doesn't. It sucks. Yeah, Kyle, I'm open to trading Lockett as well. Hopefully no more than like 2.5, Andrew. Ghost, how big is Blair? Is he big enough to be an outside corner? Introverted, welcome. Okay, so I think we've talked about everything we can talk about in terms of potential outgoing Seahawks free agents. What would I want for Lockett? Second round pick is probably all you can do. I would do Lockett for a second rounder. The only thing is, if you do trade Lockett, you do have to think about how you're going to fill the hole at receiver. Because let's think about this. 6'1", that's not bad. Let's think about this. Because then your receiver, number one receiver is DK Metcalf. Do you really want your number two receiver to be David Moore and your number three to be Freddie Swain? Like, yeah, see, that's the thing, though. You trade Lockett and you save a bunch of money. But do you just turn around and spend that money on another wide receiver? Like, I don't know how this helps. T.Y. Hilton's going to cost the same that Lockett's going to cost. So if your solution is trade Lockett and then sign, Allen Robinson or TJ or T.Y. Hilton, I don't get that. If your solution is trade Lockett and then bang out a baller pick to draft some rookie receiver in the first round who can play day one, then okay. No guarantee that that works, but okay. Hey, but I'm not into robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm really not. If you're trading Lockett and then signing somebody like T.Y. Hilton, I don't see how that helps. They call that robbing Peter to pay Paul. The only exception would be if you got somebody, maybe if you got Allen Robinson. If you got Allen Robinson, maybe you're saying, well, he's going to fit the Waldron scheme a lot better. Maybe then you could talk me into it. Goes Zach Ertz. That'd be okay. I'm not crazy about it like I am some other stuff, but Zach Ertz would be interesting. I think we could do better. This is such a bad angle for me, man. I look like I have a freaking double chin, and I don't. I know somebody in the comments is going to be a smartass. Sammy Watkins, I don't think he's that good. He has like 1,000 combined yards over the last 2 seasons. Um, I do think there are some receivers you could probably get who are going to be pretty decent in free agency who are cheaper, but Watkins, I don't see it. I've been moving stuff all day today. I am sore. Well, Michael, that depends on if they're able to create cap space. You can get out of here, Gorilla. Nobody wants Aaron Jones. If you're going to get Aaron Jones, just keep Chris Carson. Aaron Jones is going to be more expensive. I don't see how that helps. No Zillahawk. Yeah, if we sign a running back in free agency, the biggest name I could see is Gus Edwards. Okay. All right, so I'm going to keep the Q&A going for like 10 minutes, and then I'm going to get out of here. But yeah, this stream, we went over everything. We went over everything. If you got here late, rewind. Yeah, Jamal Williams would be great. Um, I don't know, Mass. The Ravens have a lot of guys they need to keep. It's going to be expensive. Lamar's going to get 200 million probably. I don't think Malcolm Brown is very good. Yeah, Matt Breed is good. Mike Davis would be fine too. It's backup running back because I really do think Penny will be the nominal starter. Oh yeah, Thunny is on the list. You're on my list. Yeah, David, that's what I was thinking. Like, that's not bad. Kyle, I think we will start Penny, but I don't want to give Penny 400 touches. I want to give Penny a lot of opportunities to limit his load, which is why I want a really good backup. I don't want Penny to be a workhorse. That's why I kind of want somebody like Jamal Williams from Green Bay. He's somebody who could be a starter for all we know. So you have two good running backs. And then behind them, whatever, DJ Dallas, he sucks, but whatever. Travis Homer probably sucks too, but whatever. Well, you're probably right, Max. That's why, like I said, I want Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams can fill in really well. Sam, I don't understand what you just said. I'm not following. Other than line? No, I don't think we're going to draft a running back if that's your question. But I don't know what the last part of that was. No, Ian. Those videos were supposed to be private. If you watched it 2 days ago, you're a hacker. And stop hacking my stuff. I don't know if Alex Collins can still start. Yeah, well, Michael, normally I would agree, and I still do agree to an extent, but somebody like Jamal Williams is only going to cost like 2 to 3 million a year. Well, Darius, if that's the case, then you should fix the bad O line. You shouldn't just say we need to deal with our bad O line. No, you should be like, we got to fix our offensive line. TJ Vasher in the second round. Okay. Yes, Michael. Okay, we got 35 people in here right now. We got up close to 50 at one point, but we do still have quite a few people in here. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Become a member down below by clicking the join button. And, donations and super chats are always appreciated. I think that's about it. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, no. What happened was the videos were private, but the playlists I added them to were public. So you were able to watch those videos if you found the playlist. Although, actually, that's a great idea to try to bilk money out of people. Just make my videos early access for members. I know some people who do that. I'm not going to do that, though. I try to avoid doing stuff like that, but that's actually not a bad idea. I wonder if people do that. Yeah, Robert, I don't like Fournette. I think he sucks, and he's going to be expensive, probably. Yeah, Ian, Thunny would be good. Scherf would be good. I don't have a problem with either of those guys. You are going to have to do a little bit of work to clear cap for him, but that's why you get paid the big bucks. All right, 4 minutes left in this stream. 4 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Okay, Michael, that's probably true, but I think Jamal Williams is still good. And I do want another running back who I think is reliably good. Jamal Williams is a dude who can, reliably handle 10 touches a game. Who do you want the Hawks to sign the most in free agency? Those videos are going to be coming soon, but to make a long story short, probably either Scherf or Thuney, because that's the guy who could make the biggest difference. Jonnu Smith signing with Hawks? Possible. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Yes, Sam, I have. You'll be seeing those videos from me in the next few weeks. Actually, the main video was something that I posted a few months ago. It was analyzing the left side of the offensive line, evaluating the future of the left side of the line. I uploaded that video months ago. You can go watch that if you want that. I did go over some draft stuff, although I am going to go over it in more detail next month. Because you can't know who you should draft until you see what happens in free agency. You can't know who you need to draft until you know what you do in free agency. Obviously, if we signed Lindsley, we wouldn't draft a center. If we signed Scherf, we won't draft a guard. But yeah. Yeah, David, it would require some creative moving stuff around. But again, I've said many times that Wilson is not going to take a pay cut. I've said it many times. Wilson has no reason to take a pay cut, but he may very well restructure, and that could save us a ton of money in 2021 and by itself allow us to sign a guy like a Thuney. So don't be surprised if you see that happening, because restructuring actually makes sense for players because they get something in exchange. All right. So this stream will have gone for about an hour and a half. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Great stream. And before we go, I'm going to go ahead and reiterate everything I just said. Players that I want to bring back in 2021, Poona Ford, Quentin Dunbar, David Moore, Geno Smith, Nick Bellore, and Brian Monet, Ryan Neal, and Bruce Irvin. Players that I am ambivalent on are Ethan Posick, Carlos Hyde, and Cedric Ogbuhi. The players who I do not want to bring back in 2021 are Chris Carson, Benson Mayowa, KJ Wright, Shaquille Griffin, Jacob Hollister, Jordan Simmons, and that's about it. If you want to know why, you're going to have to go back and watch the stream. But that is going to do it for me. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Yeah, Demontre Moore is another one I want. Yeah, see you guys later. More streams like this coming next week. Peace out. Go Hawks. And yep, it was a fun stream. See everybody later.